Tsukumo 24. In 2021, researchers in Japan discovered the skeleton of a 3,400-year-old hunter-gatherer known as Tsukumo 24. The remains were found near the Seto Inland Sea and showed clear signs of a violent death. The skeleton had 790 separate wounds covering the arms, chest, hands, and stomach. Many of the cuts went deep enough to mark the bone. Scientists first thought the wounds came from metal weapons, but the Jomon people had no metal tools. A closer look showed the cuts were V-shaped, matching bite marks from modern shark attacks. The victim's left hand and both feet were completely missing, bitten off during the attack. The pattern of wounds showed he was alive and fighting back when the shark struck. Experts believe he was fishing with others when he entered the water to catch fish or retrieve a catch. Blood in the water likely drew a large tiger shark or great white to the area. His companions pulled him from the water, but he died from his injuries. They buried him on land following their customs. The discovery made Tsukumo 24 the first confirmed shark attack victim in human history. Shark teeth found in the same area show these predators were much more common 3,400 years ago than today. Neolithic sacrifice victims. In the 1980s, archaeologists in France found the remains of 3 women from 5,500 years ago. The burial site was built like a grain storage pit. 2 of the women were found in twisted, painful positions, crushed under heavy grinding stones. Their arms and legs showed signs of being tied with ropes that had rotted away long ago. The way their bones were positioned showed their legs had been tied to their necks. This would have forced them to slowly choke themselves as they struggled. The heavy stones above them stopped any chance of escape. The 3rd woman was placed on top of the others, untied and carefully positioned. She appeared to watch over the sacrifice. The structure was built to line up with the sun during the summer solstice. Sunlight would shine directly onto the burial site during this important time of year. The careful planning showed this was not random violence, but an organized ritual. The grain pit design suggested the sacrifice was meant to bring good harvests. The discovery showed that human sacrifice was practiced in ancient Europe. The 2 tied women likely died from slow choking over several hours. OH7. In Tanzania, researchers discovered the remains of a 1.8 million-year-old Homo habilis known as OH7. The skeleton belonged to one of our earliest human ancestors who stood only about 4 feet tall. OH7 lived in ancient wetlands where multiple large predators hunted. His left leg showed massive puncture marks from a crocodile attack. The bite marks matched those of Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni, an extinct giant crocodile. This species could grow over 25 feet long and weigh more than 2 tons. Parts of OH7's leg were completely missing, torn off during the attack. But that was not all, as his skull also showed long grooves in the back, made by a different predator. The head wounds matched the hunting pattern of a large cat, likely a leopard-sized feline. The attack marks showed no signs of healing, meaning OH7 died from his injuries. Scientists believe he was ambushed by the crocodile while drinking at the water's edge. As he tried to fight back or escape, a big cat attacked him from behind. The dual attack left him with no chance of survival in the harsh ancient landscape. Peking Man victims. In China, researchers found the remains of over 28 early humans at the Peking Man site. The skeletons were several 100,000 years old and showed signs of violent deaths. About 67% of the bones had bite marks from a huge predator. The damage matched attacks from giant hyenas that no longer exist. These hyenas could weigh over 330 pounds and had heads much bigger than modern lions. Many skulls and whole sections of skeleton were completely crushed as the hyenas tried to get to the bone marrow inside. The cave where the remains were found was actually a giant hyena den, not a human home. Stone tools found nearby showed early humans had used the cave after the hyenas left. The evidence showed the giant hyenas actively hunted early humans as food. Many human bones showed hyena damage, while no hyena bones showed marks from human tools. This meant early humans were not the top hunters in ancient China. Even though early humans used tools and lived in groups, they were still prey for these huge hyenas. The site showed that survival for early humans meant avoiding lion-sized pack hunters. Mura. In 2000, workers in Germany found a preserved bog body they first thought was a recent missing person. Testing showed the remains belonged to a 17 to 19-year-old girl from over 2,000 years ago. Scientists named her Mura, or the Girl of Uchtermoor. Her body showed signs of a lifetime filled with pain and hard work. Mura had 2 separate healed skull breaks from being hit in the head. The head injuries likely came from violent attacks or accidents during her life. A growth at the base of her skull caused constant headaches and back pain. Her spine was bent from the growth and years of heavy work. Bone changes showed she regularly carried heavy loads through swampy areas. Her legs were always swollen and sore from the constant work. Signs of childhood hunger marked her bones from harsh winters and little food. Despite living only to her late teens, Mora had suffered more than most people face in a lifetime. She was found naked and alone with no burial items or jewelry. Someone had put her body in the bog after death, possibly to hide evidence. When found, digging equipment accidentally tore her remains into over 100 pieces that had to be put back together. Even in death, Mora found no peace. La Brea woman. In the La Brea tar pits of Los Angeles, paleontologists discovered the remains of a woman who died 10,000 years ago. She is the only prehistoric human ever found preserved among the thousands of Ice Age animal bones in the tar pits. The woman was between 18 and 30 years old when she died. Her teeth showed wear from eating stone-ground meals, indicating a hard life. Examination revealed her skull had been fractured, her jaw broken, and a small hole in her head from a blunt weapon strike. The wounds were clearly made by another human, not an animal attack. Early humans knew the tar pits were dangerous death traps and avoided them, meaning her presence there was not accidental. Someone had murdered her and deliberately thrown her body into the tar to hide the evidence. The motive for her killing remains unknown after 10,000 years. She became Los Angeles' oldest known murder victim, preserved by the same tar that trapped countless animals. Taung child. In 1924, researchers in South Africa found the skull of a 3-year-old early human ancestor. The child lived over 2 million years ago in what is now the Kalahari Desert. Scientists named the skull the Taung child after where they found it. For decades, how the child died remained a mystery. The small skull showed puncture marks in both eye holes and scratches across the face. Damage to the top of the skull showed violent attack from above. The injury pattern matched wounds found in modern monkeys killed by large hunting birds. The puncture marks matched exactly with the claws of giant eagles that hunt by surprise attack. Evidence showed the child had been grabbed by a huge eagle, killed, and partially eaten. The bird likely grabbed the child from the ground before flying to a high spot to feed. Ancient Africa was home to eagles much bigger than any alive today. These ancient birds regularly hunted animals similar in size to early human ancestors. The Taung child became the first known early human killed by a bird of prey. The discovery showed that early humans had to fear attacks from the sky as well as the ground. First plague victim. In Latvia, scientists found the remains of a 5,000-year-old hunter-gatherer who died at age 20. The skeleton showed no clear signs of injury or sickness that could explain the death. Tests on the bones found traces of Yersinia pestis, the germs that cause plague. This made him the first known human to die from the disease that would later kill millions. The man likely got the plague from a rodent bite during his daily work. The small bite delivered germs that his body could not fight off. Within days or weeks, the infection spread through his blood and organs. He died not knowing he carried the same disease that would terrorize future generations. The same germs would later cause the plague of Justinian and the Black Death. Those later outbreaks would kill over 100 million people across Europe and Asia. Scientists believe early plague strains like this one helped build human resistance to disease. The hunter-gatherer's death marked the start of humanity's long fight with plague. His remains show that deadly diseases have threatened humans for thousands of years. The discovery proves that even our earliest ancestors faced the same tiny enemies we fight today. French trepanation victims. In France, archaeologists found the remains of around 40 people from 6,500 BC with holes drilled into their skulls. The skulls showed evidence of brain surgery, one of the earliest known medical procedures. At this site, about 1/3 of all people had the operation done to them. The procedure involved cutting or scraping a hole directly into the skull using sharp stone tools or seashells. Patients had no painkillers during the surgery. The holes were made to treat head injuries, seizures, headaches, or for religious reasons. Over 60% of the skulls showed no signs of healing, meaning most patients died during or shortly after the operation. The main causes of death were likely bleeding out, brain damage, or infection. Even survivors faced months of painful healing and possible lifelong problems. The surgery was done on adults, old people, and even children. Some skulls showed multiple holes, meaning patients survived one surgery only to go through another. The procedure stayed popular for thousands of years, despite most people dying from it. KNM-ER 1808. In Kenya, researchers found the skeleton of a 1.7 million-year-old Homo erectus woman. Scientists named her KNM-ER 1808 after the discovery site. Her bones showed strange growth patterns and signs of long-term bleeding. The skeleton had no clear wounds or injuries to explain her condition. Tests revealed she had died from vitamin A poisoning, the oldest known case in humans. Her bones showed she had suffered from this condition for weeks or months before death. The poisoning would have caused severe headaches, weakness, and dizziness. Her skin would have peeled off in large chunks while she was still alive. She would have lost her hair and teeth during the illness. Painful joint swelling would have made movement difficult. The vitamin A likely came from eating too much carnivore liver from large predators, and without knowing that a single liver contains enough vitamin A to supply a human for 150 years, she probably ate it regularly and slowly poisoned herself. The condition would have left her weak and unable to defend herself from predators. She died a slow, painful death from something that was meant to nourish her. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.